What's wrong with your face? Why do you look like such a bitch? I'm standing in the kitchen of my dream home that I remodeled to perfection, fighting back tears because I know crying will make things worse. I put the burger I cooked for my husband in front of him and give my standard response to his recurring question. Sorry, it's just my face. I'll try to change it. I'll try to look happier for you. He takes a bite of the burger and immediately slams it down. You intentionally overcooked and ruined this, didn't you? Life with my husband was a constant mind fuck. We had a successful real estate company. There were pictures of us on bus benches across the city, looking like the perfect partners in business and in love. We had the beautiful paid off home in sunny South Florida, a shit ton of money in the bank, 6-pack abs. I even drove a Porsche. I cried a lot in that Porsche. He tells me, I can replace you. You're nothing without me. You aren't perfect, but I accept you. I was doing everything I possibly could to be the perfect wife and love this man. But why don't I feel loved? I was doing what I knew to be loving. I thought the more I abandoned my needs and prioritized him, the more loving I was. Dad walks into the garage, and as a child, I knew that was his way to escape. It was where the beer was kept. As he enters the garage, a feeling of failure washes over my little body. Maybe if I was better, he wouldn't have to drink. I was a sensitive child who always felt so much. I couldn't even watch sports because I felt so bad for the team that lost. I could feel the emotions of people around me. They became my emotions and my responsibility. So I made myself responsible for my dad's happiness and his pain. His trips to the garage did not stop. I felt like I failed. I couldn't let anyone know that I was a failure. So my life began to revolve around trying to hide the shame. This started a cycle of me trying to figure out who I needed to be for others to be happy so that I could feel loved and accepted. I reach out to Christy on Facebook. I remember she shared in a post about being in a narcissistic marriage and what it took to get out of it. I was awakening to the possibility that maybe I am in a similar situation. She tells me, you are going to have to leave. It feels like a big mistake, but it is your ticket to freedom. If I left, my life would be ruined, but I wanted freedom. I could accept ruining my life, but the thought of waking up 5 or 10 years later and regretting not leaving sooner, I could not accept. This helped me wake up. It was like coming out of a dream. I want a divorce. The words finally left my lips. I want a divorce, he says back. If you don't change in 6 months, I will leave you. I freeze, and the cycle continues for months until I plead with him to let me go visit my sister in Washington. He says, fine, go. I get permission. 3 days later, I'm standing in the airport. It feels like I can finally breathe, and I feel the most foreign sensation. Freedom. Holy fuck! I'm free to make my own decisions. I get to decide if I want a coffee or a margarita. I choose a margarita and feel like the happiest girl in the airport. In that moment, I knew there was no way I could ever go back to the life I once lived. This feeling of freedom gave me the courage to file for divorce when I got back to Florida. My husband immediately drained the joint accounts. I went broke overnight. So I returned the Porsche I could no longer afford, asked my parents for help, and fly back to Washington to move in with my sister. I joined a domestic violence support group and start seeing therapists to deal with PTSD. I declare that this is the beginning of my journey of self-love and self-discovery. I put the straw down after sniffing a line of powder. It's 7 a.m., and my morning routine consists of running 2 miles, applying layers of makeup, styling my hair perfectly, and snorting a line of Adderall. It disconnects me from my emotions, and I get to focus on being more productive. The chase of always doing more had me convinced that one day I would feel like I was enough. It's the beginning of 2020, and my favorite hobbies are anything and everything to distract myself. Once again, my life looks good from the outside. I'm living in Seattle. I rebuilt my real estate business. I appear to have my shit together, but inside, I'm struggling. I get high all day to try to numb myself. Anxiety and panic attacks are my baseline. And eating disorder and compulsive exercising have become a way of life. This was not the life of freedom I envisioned for myself. It's March of 2020 and clear that the world is about to shut down. My greatest fear was about to come true. I was being forced to be alone with myself. I discover a nearby beach where I can tan, work out, and stay fit, and it becomes my daily sanctuary. 3 months later, my feet are buried in the sand as I watch the sky turn into a masterpiece of the most vibrant colors as the sun sets behind the mountain peaks. I breathe and begin to feel alive. I was connecting with myself through nature, grounding my feet on the earth, submerging my body in the icy cold waters of the Puget Sound. I worked really hard to avoid slowing down. In fact, I was terrified of it, but the pandemic gave me no choice. I had to be with myself. And by being with myself in that Washington beach, I stopped avoiding and started feeling. I feel called to learn about spirituality. Is it a religion or some kind of weird cult? I didn't know, but I was determined to find out. I start reading books by Gabby Bernstein, Michael Singer, Wayne Dyer, and Eckhart Tolle, and commit to meditating. I begin to identify the patterns and conditioning that have been dictating and controlling my life. This was when I realized that the most toxic relationship of all wasn't the relationship with the now ex-husband. It was the relationship with me. I am the common denominator in my life. If I wanted my life to change, then I needed to change. So I do. I begin to heal my nervous system, make changes to my lifestyle, and do the deep inner work that I had been avoiding. I begin to experience and see life from a new lens. This wasn't a journey about fixing myself. It was about changing the belief that I was broken. I didn't need to learn to love myself. I just needed to unlearn all the ways I wasn't loving myself. Life was never trying to break me. It was trying to crack me open so I could return to my truth and my own love within my heart. I realized I am a soul having a human experience. It also becomes clear that I was not put here on this earth to sell houses. I'm here to support and guide other women on their own personal journey of healing and transformation. Now that I set myself free, it is my gift to help set others free. So I began building my coaching business. Instead of giving the keys to houses, I now get to share the keys to unlock your fullest expression and return home to yourself. I am lit up as I get to help other women create the life they dream of and become who they're meant to be. That's cool as shit, I think, as I'm scrolling on Instagram and see an online coach from the UK living in Bali. It's 2022, and I'm sitting on my couch in my condo in Washington while she's living her dream life and building her soul's business. I hear a voice say, "You could do that." Could I really move across the world to a country I'd never been to? I've ignored my intuition enough in my life to know that I should never ignore my intuition. So I moved to Bali. It feels good to embody what I am teaching. It feels even better to be the creator of my own life. This was the freedom I was looking for. The freedom of knowing that I am the creator of my own reality. Freedom from my own judgment and limiting beliefs, of defaulting my power to someone else. The true freedom of being connected to my personal power, of loving and accepting myself exactly how I am, exactly how I'm not. And this is how I cured my resting bitch face.